like had a kid, and you're like, oh, like you can be a chef and
have have a family, yeah.
and not be a prick.
There's some that do it well,
yeah,
for sure.
John Shields is definitely like he sets the tone and sets the example. I'm like, yeah, you got this.
Yeah.
So, but I moved down there and like lived in this like small town.
And who told you about that place? Publication or people?
When I was at Comey, I was this is like one of the last. I was the pastry chef for like the last year I was there because I was like obsessed with Jordan Kahn and Albert Adria and like that whole and Sam Mason, and I just wanted to like. I thought I wanted to be a pastry chef. I still do all our own the pastry here, but I have ADD. I can't just do one thing.
So they were like,
vlogs.
How'd you get into pastry at that restaurant? Were you just like, hey, I want to do this?
Yeah, they got rid of the pastry chef. They're like, fuck. They're like,
what do we do?
They're like, Spero, you like this shit, right? I was like, yeah. They're like, cool.
You're the pastry chef now.
Yeah. So
you're like, awesome.
So I did a lot of shit. I mean, I did microwave cakes.
Yeah.
I did all the things that like a young kid.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And like I look back at that shit. I was like, I mean, some of this was actually pretty cool. Most of it, I would never. I mean. I'm not embarrassed by any of it anymore. I was like, you know what? I didn't know what I was doing. I fucking jumped in and I did something that was trying to be cool. And I thought it was like,
you know what?
Good.
It's like the John Yao case. It's like, it's almost better not fucking worrying or learning from anybody else. It's like, fuck it. I'm just going to do my thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I fucked up a lot of things, and I feel like that's like why I've gotten to where I am. Is like, I'm really good at fucking things up and like remembering those things and building into something good.
Exactly.
But I was obsessed with like food blogs because there was no like, Instagram wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
So
what were your favorite food blogs at that time?
Sean Brock had Pig Island Strike. He had he had a blog. Laurent Gras had his blog when he was L2O.
Yeah.
And then John Shields, that Townhouse blog, which was just like scenes from service and like different things they were working on. I checked that thing every day for fucking updates. I was just like, that dude was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, his food was like unlike anything I knew, and like I was just learning about like New Spain and like fell in love with Mugaritz. I'm like. And I could tell, like, through John's, like, ethos and, like, just his style, like, it feels like he kind of had that same vibe. So eventually, like, I actually talked to him when I was leaving Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And I friended him on Facebook, because I feel like that was when Facebook was relevant and it wasn't just stealing our information. But I sent him a message, and we're talking back and forth a little bit. He's like, where are you headed next? And I was like, the cockiest thing I think I ever said is like, well, I'm going to come down and work for you. And that's when I started staging, and eventually he hired me. But
those balls, they get you the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the one thing I realized, and that's why I let like the way that we run the restaurant now is like I don't care about resume. Like if you want to come work here and you're like, hey, I want to work in your restaurant, I was like, cool, that's enough for me. It's like you want it.
You want to work here.
Yeah,
that's enough.
That's all I need.
It should be enough.
But that was also like a huge part of my life. Like I mean, like I still talk to John. Not daily, but we talk pretty frequently. Like we're close, and that changed everything. Like it showed me what he could do in a kitchen of like 3 plus John. Like we washed dishes, we dropped food, we did everything. And then they decided to close and try to figure out how to get back to a big city because there was nothing down there. Like I remember Dave Barron drove from Chicago and then drove back that like next morning. Like there was no airport, there's no bus, there's no train. So like people would drive from fucking New York and then drive back.
Just like to do dinners with them?
Oh, just to eat.
Okay,
like,
got you.
The people that would come down, that was insane. Like sometimes we just had 2 people in the dining room, sometimes we had 18, but like we were there like every day just fucking cranking out shit, and John was always working on new stuff, and every dish changed, not every day, but it's like, let's try it like this. And that's where I loved it too, because I was like, I'm not good at doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so cookie cutter.
No, and it's like, let's try plating it like this, and then we'll send it out. He's like, no, let's do it like this. You're like, oh, cool. So it's not like, scoop, dump, go, push it out. It's like, okay.
And that was back in the day where a server could just, anything could change. And they'd be like, nowadays I feel like I'm probably going to get heat for this, but
let's see what you got.
It's just like, I don't know, is that you change something and they're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That wasn't that lineup.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, bro, just fucking roll with it, man.
They all know it now. They're like, they look at it, they're like, what's different? I'm like, there's chestnut miso. They're like, cool.
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
But like,
miso.
We're lucky that like we drop all the food. We like the front of the house. They talk about the wine because that's what they fucking love. We talk about the food.
Yeah.
Like we need to know for pairings. Like if we change anything, like I'm like, hey, I changed this dish. It's going in lieu of the fucking mackerel, but it's kind of the same way. She's like, just let me taste it. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's it. Like but that back in the day, like things would change, orders would change. It was insane. I love that restaurant. Like Townhouse was, no place will ever exist like that for me again, and and I'm sure for John too. Like that. But he's got Smith and Loyalist, and he just destroys.
He just lays it down over there. I mean, I went to eat at the Loyalist. I had the burger. I got to go have the tasting menu.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. It's again probably biased. No one's, but I'm sure a lot of people agree with me. Like that is, I've been there twice. Like right when they first opened, and then again, not last year, but the year before, I was there to do a dinner with Mr. Ryan Posey, or with Ryan Pfeiffer.
Sick.
Yeah, and like that was when Blackbird was still there. Like that was so fucking cool. Like we did the event like upstairs.
That's a cool
in the
motherfucker,
room. Dude. Ryan is. I fucking love that guy. We don't talk every day, but then we'll just, for no reason, like 3 months of not talking, just send each other selfies for no fucking reason, and just have like these weird conversations late night about leaving our significant others and just fucking running away, and then we don't talk again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a month, but he is.
That's like, oh shit, she heard me.
Yeah, and he is so wildly passionate, and he's just like the coolest motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, his kids table concept.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you don't even got to wear shoes.
Yeah. You're like, damn.
That's insane. Yeah. You know.
He's like one of those guys that it's when you look at like the old guard of chefs that are kind of like getting moved out, you're like, those are the kind of people that you want kind of being the voice of this new generation. Or like, who gives a fuck? Do what we want. Don't exclude people. Don't make it feel like we're like the gatekeepers of this like really insane industry. Like, don't be a fucking dick.
Yeah,
and that's
what it seemed to be. You know, because like nowadays when you look around at all the chefs, like there's just so many more that we know of.
Yeah.
But 15 years ago it was Balud, Keller, and 3 or 4 top guys that were like, okay, these are the guys.
Yeah, and now I feel like it's. I mean, the way that information travels now, like where it changed from blogs to Instagram, like. But then there's so many more people on radars, which is fucking awesome. But yeah, so after Townhouse, I didn't know what to do. Like I came back to DC, and I opened a restaurant when I was 26, and then closed it when I was 27. It was only open for like 5 months.
Why the hell did you do that?
I was young and dumb.
So you were like, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna open this restaurant. Like, let's go.
That was like 2011, 2012.
Yeah, what was it called?
Suna. Yeah, SUNA. So
what did that?
It was Latvian for moss, but it was also Japanese for sand. So it kind of worked a little surf and turf there.
You were happy about that, weren't you? When you came up with that name, you were like, I'm fucking clever, bro.
But I wasn't ready to like lead
the
kitchen, let alone like run my own. And me, like I didn't know what I wanted, so I was like, hey, let's open a restaurant. We'll give you all the money. You get sweat equity. You just got to do this and this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Great, yeah.
And I didn't know the direction that I really wanted to go in, but we were only doing tasting menus, a 4 or 8 course menu. That was it. And this is like it was different. Like I still look back at some of the food. Actually, one of my sous chef Ben. That motherfucker, he worked for me for a couple months there before I had to fire him because I didn't have any money. But we still talk about like some of the stuff that we were doing there. I'm like, he's like, it was really fucking tasty and fun. But we closed, and it was just like a fucking. After that was like a shit show because like it was different than what most people were doing in DC, and I wasn't trying to be different for the sake of being different. I just wanted it's what I wanted to do, and it just felt right at the time. But it was hard. Like we got reviewed by a critic. After the week that they were coming in to take pictures to talk about the review was also the week that me and my business partner got into a fight. We said, fuck it, like we can't do this, like let's just close it down. So I had to call the paper and be like, hey, like I know the review's coming out, but we're closing. They're like, what do you mean you're closing your restaurant? I was like, yeah, I mean, not the news I wanted to fucking share.
Yeah.
But
was it a good review?
Well,
they sent it to you to read?
So that this was a conversation on a Friday.
Yeah.
Our last service on Saturday. I blacked out for like 3 fucking days.
Yeah.
And then I wake up to all these messages like, dude, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I just closed the restaurant. They're like, no, are you okay? And I was like, what? And I pull up the review because everybody's fucking sent it to me. And it was half a fucking star. Like,
you got trashed.
I got trashed, and that was like kick me when I'm down kind of thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly. Like I already fucking told you that we're closing the restaurant. You didn't need to do that to my reputation. Now I can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's the feeling.
And that's what it felt like. And I was like, man, like I really fucked up. Like it doesn't haunt me anymore. Like it definitely did. And everyone always compared everything I ever touched to that restaurant. And like now I kind of welcome it. I was like, yeah, I'm like I loved what we fucking did there. Like, we had a lot of like just like a lot of restaurants here. Like some restaurants serve fucking shit. But it's roast chicken and everybody likes it. We were just trying to do what we felt was right. But we also I wasn't ready to run it. But like 2 weeks later, after like just being in a complete like drunken stupor, I managed to get the head chef job at Minibar, which still don't understand. Yeah, I staged for like a month, just like checking it out and feeling it out. Like Minibar's always been like iconic DC, and when they moved in that new space, and I staged and I did all this shit, and because it was actually the head chef who was leaving. ate at the restaurant. He's like, Jose, you got to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Which like felt good. I was like, okay, so I guess I didn't fuck everything up. But I remember like having a meeting with Jose. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. He had like no shoes on. He's like in his office. And the first thing he asked me, he's like, Johnny, are you a dreamer? And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay. And we have like this really in-depth conversation. Nothing about food, just like personality and feelings.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And all this like this really cool, uplifting shit. And he's like, what do you want to? He's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to open my own restaurant again. And I was honest with him. He goes, okay. And we talked for like an hour. And I had HR there and like his head chef of the company, and like we didn't say a word about like cooking ability or like anything like that. It was the most. I wish I could remember that conversation. I was just like so like engaged in that. And he looked around. He's like, "Oh, are we hiring him?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought that's what this was."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fuck."
You're like, actually, no.
Yeah, they're like, no, this is where you're supposed to tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep looking.
You were actually supposed to stop talking to him 45 minutes ago.
But that was like. That was even like an experience I don't think I was quite ready for too. Like, I loved Abuli and like Mugaritz, which, like, this was the kind of the closest I ever thought I was going to get to that kind of a restaurant. I'm like, now I'm like in charge of it, and it was definitely weird because I'd never worked for Jose before, so I came into like that restaurant. Everyone's like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, he just closed a restaurant. And I was like drinking, like, I always drank a lot, but I was still there in the morning, and I'd be there all night, and it just like put on a fucking show. Like that restaurant was. The restaurant was fun. It was fucking nice, but I never really gave myself time to like come down from closing the first space. And like 2 years into it, I was like, all right, now that I need to like kind of like feel feelings, I'm like, I think I need to go. I need to leave DC. And I just on a whim, and I actually applied to be a stage in Mugaritz before I opened up Suna.
Yeah.
And they got back to me like I remember like when I was getting ready to fucking open the restaurant, like, hey, like we have space available. We'd love to have you come stage. I was like, fuck, I'm opening a restaurant. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And then I updated my resume in the system and like sent it. And I knew some people over there, and they're like, hey, did you just apply to be a stagiaire in Mugaritz? I was like, yeah. They're like, aren't you the head chef at the restaurant? I was like, yeah. I'm like, I just want to say fuck it. I want to get out of here and go someplace that always inspired me. So I gave up my head chef job to go get the shit kicked out of me for a season at Mugaritz, I was like 29. I was like, I gotta do it like one more time before my body can't keep up. Yeah. And just got fucking destroyed. In most beautiful of ways.
You worked with Andres and Ignacio?
Yeah.
Zuzulich?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that was, fuck, man. Andres that's my boy.
Yeah.
That restaurant, like, I looked up to everybody at that restaurant for so long, and like, and all stagiaires that I've met that were like still people I talk to on a weekly basis. Like, that was another like huge point in my career. Is like I didn't want to go to like, I mean, I have the recipes that I needed for work, but I didn't copy like everything down. Like, I wanted to meet the people that thought of that shit and like get in their mindset, and just because it's like one of the kookiest, most influential restaurants in the world.
It really is, yeah.
And it's a mind fuck. And I'm like, I want to meet these guys who did it, and then just try to keep up. But yeah, it was wild. Like, it was. Like, the hours weren't that insane to me, but I definitely, from being, like, a head chef and, like, an owner before, and, like, being, just going to a space where I was back down at the very bottom, like, just running.
Yeah.
Like, I kept up, and I tried to run circles around everybody. The only difference was, like, at the end of the night, in the bunk beds in the house, like, my knees were fucking swollen.
Yeah.
I'm like, I fucking did it.
You're, like, icing down.
Yeah, but I also would wake up, like, an hour before everybody else, so I could, like, take a shower and, like, drink coffee, and it was like a bunch of like 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So I was like, someone brought me over a bottle of Jameson, and I would just go buy like shitty scotch and like have a couple drinks here and there, and like I ended up like I went full blown European, like rolling my own cigarettes by the time I was man. But that was insane. But like, I had no money, so we'd go out and eat, but I didn't like travel like anywhere. We ate it. We were in Donosti, like we ate downtown. Mm-hmm. I'd go get a Big Mac at McDonald's every once in a while, and just like. Really embraced survive, and also like embrace Basque Country, which was like some place that I'd only ever like you only read about these places. Like, Google that shit. And,
now you're there, living there.
I was like, oh, this is dope. And then I decided to come back to DC.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You knowing yourself, you probably already knew that you weren't going to stay there. That you just needed to enjoy it while you were there.
Yeah, and I didn't want to like a place that I had like put on this pedestal is like, because we had talked about potentially staying longer and. Staying on board at Mugaritz, which was like cool that they even offered me that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to ruin that time with like staying for like 3 years and just like hating Basque Country, because like it was definitely hard, but I didn't want to destroy something that I fucking love. And I still I went back the following year and